Let me tell you a story. In the small, beautiful little town of Ivrea, Italy, in the northern part of the country, every year there is a battle you're not going to believe. This relatively peaceful town for 3 days every year erupts with the color orange as they throw oranges at each other. You may be familiar with La Tomatina, the festival in Spain with tomatoes. Let me tell you that this festival is very different, and there's a much higher risk of messing up your face. When I was getting ready to join the locals in battle, one of them told me, "Hey, don't worry. It doesn't hurt that much."
To war we go! Ferma, ferma, ferma! There's blood on the back of the
It's like a citrus fist fight, is what it feels like. So from my personal experiences, the orange fight hurt a little bit more than the locals told me it was going to. Personal experiences are how we learn to navigate the world around us. We have an action, there's a reaction, and we learn a lesson. The thing about personal experience now, though, is it's very hard to have a true personal experience. In this day and age, we have news stories, movies, advice from friends and family, all of these influences affecting our personal experience. We now have a shared group experience which we pull knowledge and information from. We might not have experienced these things, but we've seen the news stories, we've heard the advice, and it affects our decisions. It gives us fear of things we haven't personally experienced, which makes us realize that we can experience fear. We can catch fear like we catch the flu from social exposure. This is something incredibly common in travel, where we'll hear news stories, we'll see the warnings or reports, we'll hear words from friends and family, from people saying, "You can't do that, have you seen the news stories? Don't go there, you can't travel by yourself." All of these little voices and fears creep into our life that give us knowledge about something we don't have any knowledge about. We catch the fear from other people. I experienced this so many times in my life. People saying I couldn't travel solo, that I couldn't go to Mexico, that I couldn't go to Pakistan, Venezuela, all of these countries. And while there are risks in some of these countries, there's risk in the world. And I chose to trust the words of local people living in these locations over the words of people who are not. If you go to a baker to get a loaf of bread and they start giving you car advice, would you listen to the baker, whose job is to bake bread, or listen to the mechanic who knows much more about the situation? I feel that travelers are cautioned so often by people who don't know the real situation and can catch fear that holds people back from doing their big dream trips. For myself, one of the very first trips that I ever did was to Indonesia, on the other side of the world, and I was absolutely terrified from what I had heard about Indonesia, all of these negative news stories. And traveling by yourself was supposed to be dangerous and scary, but for myself, I've told this story before, it was the best thing that I ever did in my entire life. Going to the other side of the planet where I didn't know what language they spoke, what they ate, I didn't know anything at all. But it was perfect. It was the medicine I needed to fix my life. Up until that point, I don't think I had been so scared of anything in my entire life. And if I think about it now, I don't know if I've been scared of anything as much since. Which makes me realize something. And it's a lesson about fear. Is that courage is like a muscle. You have to keep using it for it to get stronger. And the first time you try anything, it feels very difficult. If you think about chin-ups, with a bar and you pull yourself up, the first time you ever try to do that exercise, it can feel impossible. Your arms shake, you don't even move when you pull. It can feel like you could never do it. But you can if you tried. And the same thing happens when you approach fear for the very first time. A numbing, all-encompassing fear. When you approach it and you look it straight in the eyes, it can feel impossible. Like you could never do it. But then you do. And then you do again. And then it starts to feel easier and more comfortable. And just like doing pull-ups or chin-ups at the gym, all of a sudden, things get a lot easier. It's never a breeze. It's never a breeze, but you know you can do it because you've done one before. And it gives you the momentum and the courage to do it again. Courage is a muscle. You have to keep using it for it to get stronger. The first time I flexed that muscle to go to Indonesia all the way to the other side of the planet, I remember the fear being all-consuming. I could barely think getting on that plane. The thing is though, there's different kinds of fear. That fear is a loud fear. It screams at you. It drowns your senses. It washes over you like a tsunami of adrenaline. It makes your hands shake. It consumes your life. The thing is, there's quiet fears too. Fears that barely make enough noise to notice. Fears that are like termites, knowing if they eat too much of the foundation, they're going to topple the tower. These are quiet fears. Quiet fears are things like insecurity. It's a quiet fear, not enough. Anger is a quiet fear of losing power. Heartbreak is a quiet fear. You won't find anything better. These quiet fears are the ones that keep you in your habits and routines. Not quite uncomfortable enough to leave, but not quite happy enough to stay. They're also called what if fears. What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm wrong? But primarily it's what if I fail? That's the big one. What if I fail? When approaching fear, it's very important to think about it this way. Success when you're confronting fear is simply confronting it, and failure is running away. Most people on this planet, when they do feel fear, they turn their shoulder and they walk the opposite direction. That is the failure. Some people, maybe like you or future you, feel the feeling and say, "Blah!" and walk into it. That's success. Who cares what happens after? Who cares? As long as you swing at the plate. The result of the action is the frosting on top. It doesn't matter. Sure, if it goes well, great. If it doesn't go well, it doesn't matter. The success is stepping forward into fear, and the only way you can fail is stepping away. Put the emphasis on that action. Success is stepping forward into fear. Okay. These are some excerpts of a larger fear keynote that I did and traveled around the world to present. I'm hoping to get this full version of the talk up to you very shortly. But until then, please let me know what you think about these inspirational videos, and please let me know which one of these points today resonated with you the most. We talked about catching fear like you can catch the flu from social exposure. We talked about courage being a muscle, and we talked about how success when confronting your fears is the action, not the result. Let me know which one you like most. In the meantime though, something I'm super excited about is this. It's a PDF worksheet of some tactics, tools, and things I learned along the way in order to fight my fears and become the best version of myself. I've condensed everything I've learned into a free PDF worksheet. It's right here. It's almost finished. If you go to fearlessandfar.com/fear, you can get it in your inbox. If you want to fight your fears, this is a great first way to start. And like I said, totally free. Also, you may have noticed these chains on me most of the time when I make my videos and do my exploring. I thought I'd explain them for once. This is a Fearless and Far logo, something you're very familiar with. This is an Experience Over Possessions dog tag. This originally is this color, silver, and then as you have experiences, they rust. For myself, it was a necklace that allowed me to know if I was having enough experiences, kind of like a gauge, but also something that could stay close to my heart to make me realize the important things in life. I don't give these away to very many people. Only a few people have them. But on Patreon, I'm deciding to give them away for the next few days. So Monday, the 24th, midnight Pacific time, these will be available until that on Patreon. If you sign up, doesn't matter what tier, you get a free set of Experience Over Possession dog tags on Patreon, as well as you get a bunch of this super cool Fearless and Far swag. It is the best way to support the channel. As you know, I don't film the traditional things on this channel, and because of that, videos get demonetized, yada, yada, yada. If you like the content, you want to fight your fears, and you want to see more strange, wonderful, wild, and sometimes creepy content, the best way to support the channel is going on Patreon. And if you do it right now, you get this stuff too. Thank you, Dragons. I hope you enjoyed this video on fighting your fears. Check out Patreon, check out the free PDF worksheet as well. Chase your fears, and I'll see you in the next video.